to LOA Today. I'm Walt Thiessen. With me today is longtime listener, poet laureate, and Taya Master, Anne-Marie Young. This is your Daily Dose of Happy. We are so happy you decided to join us today. And we especially hope that you had a wonderful Christmas holiday if you are among those who celebrate Christmas. We were comparing notes before the show, and Anne-Marie and I have both decided, yes, it was a good holiday this year.
It was wonderful.
Yeah, it was relaxing. It was fun. It was nice to be with family. You shared a shot or two with your family. It looked like they were having a blast. So
yeah, we did.
Plus, I have to say, this is something Louise mentioned to me too over the holiday, which was Christmas is different with kids because there's the magic of Christmas where kids are concerned, right?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I've always been big into Christmas. I love Christmas, but since having the children, it does just add that little sprinkle of magic to it. It really does.
One of the things that I think about occasionally is that when you're very small, by small I mean up to age 10, let's put it there, 10, 11, 12, everything, time is warped, let's put it that way. Everything seems to take forever. You know,
Yes.
Christmas is coming and it's only a month away, but it could be a year and a half because it just seems that far away. And then it arrives and it's magical. And, oh, wow, it's so exciting, and color and lights and presents and family and all kinds of stuff happening. And then it's over. It's like, oh my God, what happened?
That's it. A Boxer Day, it's pretty much like, oh, what do we do? What do we do?
Right.
But we kind of just had an extended Christmas on the day after, on Boxing Day. I don't know if you guys spent Boxing Day, but we had just an extended Christmas. We had our friends around who we spent Christmas Day with, and we cooked another big meal, and we had fun and games, and it was just, so it felt like it was a lot longer.
So Christmas was twice as good.
Well, yeah, because Christmas just starts in December for us. We'll get the tree up, we'll go the ice skating, we'll go and see Father Christmas, and then we have our traditions on Christmas Eve where we go to our favourite restaurant and the staff make a fuss of the children and they're all loving it. So it's just a whole massive build up, and then you just can breathe it in and it's beautiful.
I don't know where exactly you're located in the UK. I don't know how close you are to London. Do you ever get into London to see the Christmas lights and so forth?
Yeah, we do. We didn't this year. But we normally do. My husband's office actually is in London, and it's right on Oxford Street where the lights are. He's got lights right outside his window, and it's stunning. Wow. And there is something rather beautiful around it. But this year we went to a different city. We went to a city called Bath, which is equally as beautiful.
Yeah. Very nice. Very nice. Yeah, we didn't do a whole lot of traveling around. We limited our light viewership to within about 10 minutes of here. That's about all we were willing to do because Boston is about 2 hours one way and New York is about 3 hours the other way. It's like, no, we'll just limit it to little stuff. But it's okay. It still works out nicely. People know how to decorate around here, so it's a good thing.
That's it. It's becoming a lot more common here as well. And you just take what you can, don't you?
Mm-hmm. Oh,
and, yeah.
And everybody has different tastes too, because I mean, I don't know about you. I'm among those who likes the gaudy stuff. I like, like huge splashes of lights and moving animated stuff and all that kind of thing. We have a few of those yards around here where they really, really do it up. Those are fun. Yeah. But for other people, that's too much. It's amazing how many people just like white Christmas lights.
Yes.
I mean, it's not my taste and I'm glad for them, but really just white? What happened to green and red and yellow and blue and orange? Colours
are getting more popular here. A lot of my street have got white, but ours are like a copper colour. So they're literally on the hedge like this, going the big arches, nice. And then they're all across the house. Yeah, and then literally every room in my house is decorated and lit up. I've got lights that I put up 4 years ago, and I never actually took them down inside my house.
Well, sure, yeah. I mean, why, if you're going to just have them there, it's not like people are inspecting the house. Have you taken your lights down? It doesn't work that way. So.
Oh, I've got Mandora's. They make me happy. I'm going to keep them up.
Sure, yeah. Louise has a collection of these little. It's a village basically. It's like little buildings. Done in the Christmas season, and she has a large collection. Our apartment isn't large enough to show the whole thing. We only get maybe a quarter of it, but even a quarter of it is really, really nice. I remember the last time we had the full village, though. It's like, it's magical. I mean, you don't need to have a light on. The entire room that it's in is just lit up with all the lights. It's really good.
I think I know the ones you mean, and they are just very, very pretty.
Oh, they really are. Yeah. There are actually a few manufacturers, a few different sets. This one, oh God, what was this one called? It came out about 10, 15 years ago. And I just can't remember what it's called, but yeah. Can't get them anymore, unfortunately. Maybe you can sometimes find them on eBay. But anyway, we're kind of leaning in toward the end of the year and beginning of a new year, which is kind of an exciting thing in a number of different ways, because as it's going to be 2022, and I started the podcast in 2013, this would be year 10. So by September, it'll be the 10th anniversary of LOA Today. So that's going to be kind of cool. I'm kind of looking forward to that. But of course, that's a little further down the road. We have to get through the beginning of the year first. Now, I got to ask you, I don't do New Year's resolutions. Some people do, some people don't. Do you do resolutions?
Not necessarily resolutions where it's like, oh, this year from this day, I'm going to do something. But I do like the idea of it being a new beginning, because it is a new beginning. It's a new year. Yes. So just having that kind of, okay, so this year I would like to do, and just that reset. And I know certainly in the last couple of weeks, I've been doing a lot of reflecting on this year. It's been a very busy, very hectic, very amazing year. So I've been reflecting a lot and just thinking, okay, so what do I want to do to better it next year?
That's good. That's really good. Yeah, I like that. I agree with you. I'm not one who really likes to make it a formal resolution or anything like that. I used to do that, and I think my experience was kind of like a lot of people. You set the resolution and you don't really go back to it, and then you feel like you kind of cheated yourself, and then you're in the guilt and shame thing. Like, oh no, why am I going there? So that, yeah, I stay away from that. I try to make it more like, instead of a New Year's resolution, if I need to make a change, I make a change now. I don't wait for New Year's.
Sure.
You know.
I agree, because you can sometimes just, like you say, you feel that pressure of it being a new year. You have to set a new resolution, and then if you don't do it, then you do feel all those guilt and shame and whatever, and that's not a good way to start the year. So I just kind of think about, what do I want from this year? What am I going to get? What's my objective, so to say?
Absolutely. I agree. In fact, it's not a good way to start the day. It's not a good way to start anything, actually, with that guilt and shame and all that. Yeah, you don't want to.
Not at all.
No. But we do have something coming up in January that we've been hinting at here on the show for some time. There's going to be, we're putting on a summit, and I have already mentioned that the dates are likely to be January 18th and 19th. That's becoming more set in stone, so you can kind of put that on your calendars. We will be offering tickets probably starting about 2 weeks before, but not quite ready for that yet. We're still lining up all the speakers. Most of the speakers that we're reaching out to are saying yes, which is a wonderful thing. Many of them are going to be people that regular listeners of the podcast will recognize and will know. But it's going to be a very cool thing. And Anne-Marie volunteered to help out. So thank you, Anne-Marie. I appreciate that.
My pleasure.
Yeah. Yes. It's now a team of two instead of a team of one. That helps. I can't tell you how much that is.
It's a lot for you to do, Walt. I mean, I've read the sort of the guest list and the lineup, and it looks so good. I got really excited, like reading, thinking, this is going to be epic. You put it on the show.
This thing is going to be very, very good. It's going to be a 2-day affair plus some workshops, and we're still working out what the workshops are going to be. But the workshops are almost going to be better than the main event. The main event's going to be really hot. Like you said, the list of speakers, when you read it, it's like, whoa, this is a lineup. But the workshops are going to be almost better. The workshops are going to be like an extra fee to get into the workshops. It won't be outrageous, but the advantage to the workshops, they're going to be like doing like a group coaching kind of thing in many cases, focused specifically on stuff that a select group of the speakers are expert at. So, for instance, Daniel Mangena is going to be one of the speakers, and he is going to do his, what's it called, breaking through money boundaries or something like that, money blocks.
Yep.
He's going to do that as one of our workshops. So if you've ever wanted to actually break through one of your money blocks and have help doing it, you're going to be able to get one-on-one attention from Daniel during the workshop. I mean, that's unusual. You don't get that, right? That's not part of
No,
listening to a podcast.
and I've seen him do it, and it's incredible. It's
Isn't it?
incredible. Just, yeah.
Yeah.
It's just like, and think of a color, and what age are you, and think of a number, and he can like that relates to this, and this, and you're like, whoa.
And all he's doing,
Yeah.
he's kind of sneaking in behind your ego so he can do stuff to help free things up. It's just an amazing thing to watch. And apparently from what the reactions are of the people he helps, it's an amazing thing to experience too.
Yeah.
So that's going to be cool. And that's just one example. I'm hoping we're going to have maybe 3, 4, 5 different workshops for people afterward. That'll be part of the extra package. So it's shaping up. It's looking good. I mean, we got a ways to go. There's a lot of work to be done left, but I think it's going to be cool. It's a good way to start the year, right?
Isn't it just?
Yeah.
How exciting to have that to look forward to.
We're going to be calling it the Living Our Abundance Summit based on the new variation on LOA that we came up with this past fall, right? And I like the meaning of the words. I also like the idea behind it, because really what we're trying to do is we're trying to encourage listeners, but also other people. We're going to be reaching a wider audience. But we're trying to encourage people to not just vibrate to abundance, not just change your thought patterns, but take some steps. I mean, people may have noticed we have been bringing in speakers lately, guests here on the show, who have taken practical steps to increase their own abundance with some interesting results, with some really fascinating results. Some of these people are amazing entrepreneurs. So I'm hoping that they're going to be inspiring to people who attend the summit to take some steps of their own. Maybe there are people who have never actually tried to get something going, get an enterprise going or something, or maybe somebody who already has a business, but they haven't figured out how to grow it. How about taking the next steps? How about reaching that abundance level where you're not trying to live paycheck to paycheck anymore, right?
Yeah. Making those actual changes, and again, great timing, being the beginning of the year and setting those intentions and things. So yeah, it's going to be good.
And this is going to be the first of many. I don't have the schedule worked out at all, but the intention is to do this one. This one's sort of oriented toward the money side of abundance. The next one coming a month or two later, I'm not sure exactly how long. That one's going to be on the relationship side, both personal relationships with significant others and spouses, as well, and attracting them, as well as business relationships, as well as other family relationships, as well as just about anything that you can have a relationship with. It's going to be part of that one. There's going to be a third one oriented around health and health issues, helping people particularly who are dealing with chronic conditions or maybe even terminal conditions to whatever extent that we can, obviously. We're going to try to bring in some experts for those. And there may even be one or two others in there that I haven't even dreamed up yet. I mean, if anyone who has ideas, send them in. But I want to do this as a regular series because I figure, among other things, it makes it possible to help grow the audience because we want more and more people to find about LOA today. But it also, it's part of the goal that I've been talking about for a few years now. I've been wanting to find a way to reach a larger audience, not just for the podcast, but just to help people get to where they're trying to go, people who have been exposed to the basic messages of the law of attraction, but haven't really succeeded in every way to create that abundant lifestyle that we really all want. Because the fact is, until you are abundant in all areas, it isn't really abundance yet. It's some abundance.
And that's it. And it's what is your abundance? My abundance isn't necessarily materialistic thing. It's that kind of relationship thing, which just makes my heart swell. And so it's lovely that you're having a relationship ones, but that's like money, relationships and health are the main three things that most people want. There's usually something that people want to work with, and you're giving them bite-sized chunks with experts.
Yes.
To get that knowledge.
Well, that's what I learned from doing the podcast. I've said this many times, particularly in the past year. I've been mentioning it over and over again, how I started doing the podcast so that I could learn how all this stuff works. And I've discovered just how valuable that is to me. And I want more people to experience that. So I figure summits are a good way to do that because it's almost like an intensive conference, but done online instead of in a conference building someplace.
But it's also dragging in all these people that you're getting to host in your summit. They've got their followers, and then it's getting them involved.
Oh, sure.
And it's just massively building that network, isn't it?
It is. It's building a network. It's also about, I mean, most of our listeners, we have listeners around the world, but as with most such shows like this, they're mostly what you might call the first world countries, right? There's the United States, there's Canada, Australia, New Zealand, the UK, South Africa, and that's about it. But there are a lot more countries that either have English as a primary language or English as one of their leading languages that don't have the same level of economy that the first world countries have. And they need it too. But it's never set up for them. It's never aimed at them. It's never priced for them. I want to change that. I mean, there's no reason why we can't change that.
No.
And can you imagine what happens when people all over the world really start to create their own abundant lives on a massive scale and start spreading the word into their channels? That's where it gets really exciting to me.
Because it just, again, we just sort of going back to what we said last week, but it's those ripples, isn't it? It's rippling out all around.
And plus, I also was realizing when you put something like this together, I mean, you have to be charging money in order to make it work because there's so much work that goes into it. But the persons who don't live in the first world countries are at a disadvantage because most of them can't afford the fees. I mean, if you and I are paying, $25, $50, $7,500 for something, it's some money, but it's not going to kill you. There are some cultures where that's like half a year's wage. They just can't do that. That's not even a possibility. So the pricing for them is going to be aimed at, what can they handle within what their economy and what their families are able to generate, because they need to be able to invest in themselves, but it's got to be affordable. It's got to be something they can handle. That's what I keep thinking over and over and over again.
And have you thought about how you're going to promote it to those countries?
I have, and I've actually got it pretty well worked out. It's going to be pretty much the same thing that I'm doing for promoting this, but it's going to be a scaled down version, and a lot of it's using paid advertising. But the paid advertising is cheaper in those countries. So it's just a scaling thing. You scale it to the level of where that particular country is. So if you're aiming, for instance, at people in India, well, India, it's a known factor. We know that on average, their average per capita income is X. So you scale it to whatever X is.
Yeah.
So if the fee here is like 1/600th of your annual income, well then what's 1/600th of the annual income in India? That's what the fee is. That's how you do it.
Yeah.
Now you don't make a lot of money doing that, but because your costs are going to be lower because you're spending less on the advertising. Well, okay, so maybe you're not making, your normal wage, but it's still worth it because you're helping so many people.
Yeah. And I think I agree with you. You do have to put a charge to these things because sometimes I get free for stuff that I just don't open. But if I pay for something, it's got that value to it. But
among other things, if you don't pay for it, how often do you show up? But if you pay for it, you're there. Your butt's in the seat. You're ready to go because you want to get your value out.
Exactly, but I love the fact that, it's not about a lot of things, but it's just about making a profit. You are just doing it because this is a good message to get out. This is going to change people's lives. I mean, look, it's changed our lives in 10 years, hasn't it?
Right?
Mine in the last 3.
Yeah, totally. It changes all of our lives. And I keep thinking to myself, there are so many people out there who are trying to change the world. And I'm realizing I don't want to change the world. First of all, the world is too big for me to change. And second of all, I'm not sure the world wants to change.
No.
So it's really not a desirable outcome as far as I'm concerned. But what if I can help those people who do want to change? Yeah. Now that becomes exciting to me because now I already know they want to change.
And also that's achievable.
Yes, it's very achievable. In fact, it's not only achievable, it's becoming in my mind what we talk about a lot here on the show. We talk about trying to make something certain in your mind, like you have total belief, total trust.
Yeah.
That's easy for me to believe in. I don't know about you, but
I
that's
believe you.
well, thank you. But that's something I can easily believe that can happen. I can
Mhm.
easily. That's not hard for me at all. Which means, of course, that I can actually manifest it.
I was going to say, well, it's already on its way because
That's
you
right. Yeah,
believe. And
exactly.
the minute I feel that trust, or I think, yep, this is good, this is what I feel, this is what's going to happen. Inevitably, it's going to happen, and I trust until it does.
And it's a funny thing. I keep going back to the save the world thing, and I know I'm not going to be interested in saving the world. And yet there's an element of this that will actually help the world to make changes that people want to make in the world. Because
Yeah,
even if you're only reaching 1/10 of 1% of the people in the world, well, 1/10 of 1%, that's 1/1000th of 7 billion people. That's 7 million people. That's a lot of people. If
that's
those
not
7
too
million people
big.
go out, if they go out and do stuff and, like stir things up and start making themselves examples that other people follow, all of a
Yeah,
sudden you get these changes that we've been hoping about for generations.
exactly. People are focusing on the positivity rather than the negativity. That's going to make a difference ultimately.
It
And
is.
7 million people, come on,
I
Walt,
mean,
you will change the world.
7 million, heck, I'd settle for 70,000. 7 million.
We're going for 7 million though, right, Walt?
Oh, absolutely. I'm not saying what the time frame is. That's all. But yeah, well, 7 million or more. I mean, that's really the way to label any of this stuff. Anytime that you're going to put some numbers down, they put or more at the end.
Mm,
So 7 million or
yeah,
more, 70 million or more, 170 million or
no limit.
more, right? So
It'd
yeah,
be, it'd be interesting to see what happens over the next few months because I think it's exciting that it's your 10th anniversary next year.
yeah,
And to do something for that would be
yeah,
quite
exactly.
incredible.
That's the feeling that I have about it. Precisely what you just labeled.
Yeah.
Yes, because just knowing that it's all coming together that way, the serendipity of that is perfect. But even beyond the serendipity of it, it's just like it's like seeing 1111 on a clock. It just feels perfect,
Yeah.
right? It does. It's like, oh, it's all dovetailing just nicely. Yeah,
Yes.
I like that.
But do you remember a few months ago we were chatting and we both of us felt it that 2022 is going to be a good year.
Yes,
And,
yes.
I felt that, you felt that. And
Mm-hmm.
especially after the last couple of years, and we're going into the new year, certainly in the UK, with threats of lockdown, new COVID variant.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm still excited about this year, or next year.
Me too. I remember when 2020 came around. Of course, we had at the beginning of the year 2020, the pandemic hadn't hit yet. It was already brewing, but it hadn't become major news. And I remember starting off the year saying, this is going to be an auspicious year. I remember saying, this is going to be a year where there's going to be some pretty massive changes going on. I had no idea what I was talking about. I just had this feeling that something big was coming. Now, would I have picked COVID? Probably not. But even so, it was auspicious. So yes, there was a lot of rough stuff
Mm,
going on, but there was also some really positive, massive change going on
I
that even
agree.
now people are just beginning to appreciate some of the good stuff that came out of it, because there has been good stuff that's come out of it. First and foremost that comes to my mind is so many people, particularly here in the US, I imagine in the UK as well, other Western countries, they ended up working at home for the first time.
Yeah.
And in the process of working at home, they said, "Oh, I like this. This is good. I don't want to get out of my jammies ever again." And it's changed the entire dynamic of the workplace.
Yeah.
Now that's a
And
change for the better.
I think it is as well. I mean, I'm still working from home.
Mm-hmm.
We're all working from home at the moment if we can, but I started to go back into the office sort of like 1 day a week. And I got so much more done at home, but both. I could go
How about
downstairs and put a wash on. Yeah, go and put a wash on, or I could go and do something, and then not interrupt my day,
that?
still get
Mm-hmm.
all my productivity. I mean, there obviously are challenges where you don't get that, what they say, the water cooler chit chat, where you learn stuff,
Sure.
but we'll adapt. And the new way of communicating, like we said before, we're all talking to people around the world that we've never met. but are good
Right.
friends.
Right. Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. I love what you said too, how you actually are more productive at home than you were in the office, which is the diametric opposite of what the traditional belief system was. Oh, you let people work at home, nothing will ever get done. Yeah, well, not so much. Didn't work out the way the fear mongers had in mind. Sorry, guys, good luck with the next one. But what that was,
Yeah.
that was a big change for the better.
Absolutely. I mean, don't get me wrong. I did struggle with a lot of this to start with.
Sure.
And certainly with homeschooling with the children, but I think education wise, certainly for my children, I can't speak for everyone, it needs to be in an education facility because they need that social interaction, they're social children, and plus their maths I no longer understand. It's very different from 40 years ago when I was doing it. But I look back on the pandemic and yes, it's been hard, and I'm fortunate in the fact that I haven't lost anybody to it, but I also haven't seen my mother for a couple of years because she's in a care home. And if I make arrangements to see her, then it gets closed down because there's a case of COVID or whatever. So I've had my challenges with that.
Sure, yeah.
But I just looking back on what it has done for me. And my personal development has gone through the roof. I've been promoted at work this year. It's not held me
Congratulations, by
back.
the way.
Thank you. It's not held me back.
That's a good thing. Yeah. It doesn't hold you back unless you believe it's going to hold you back. That's one thing. That's another thing that we've learned. And you're right. I mean, you're not the only one to have made lots of friends online through the technology, through Zoom and StreamYard and things like that. Because I built the show through this technology. Yeah. That's been wonderful. But it's also been it's been a godsend in many ways to have all the technology available, because that enables us to connect with each other even when we can't connect. Sometimes we have to remind ourselves and remind each other about it. Louise was talking recently about somebody she had in the family who she hadn't been able to connect with for a number of years. And I said, well, do a Zoom call. Oh, yeah. I hadn't thought of that. Yeah, we should let's do that this week. Yeah. You know, it's a change. It's a shift in thought pattern. But once you make it, the world opens up again.
And that's it. It has. I feel it has opened up. It's kind of closed, but opened. I mean, physical contact. Yeah, I'm a hugger. I do miss hugging people that I love. But I'll take the next best thing.
Yeah, it's been good. It's been really good. Another interesting thing that's been happening, and I can't say that I've seen this on a large enough scale yet to say it's a pattern. So I'm kind of running it by you to see what you think and whether you've experienced it. Here in the U.S., particularly over the last, let's see, we're at 2021 going on 2022. So I'll say the last 25 to 30 years or so, the political divide has gotten wider and wider and wider. And it's gotten very angry and raucous and so forth. And what I've noticed has happened and started to happen just in the last year or so is that people who are on opposite sides of the divide are somehow finding a way to communicate with each other. It's painful at times. It's challenging at times. The fights still happen at times. But I'm just noticing that people are like, they're trying to find a way, not really tiptoeing, but they're trying to find a way. How can I position myself so I still hold true to whatever my beliefs are, but I can have a conversation with you if your beliefs are different? And I can't say I've seen this on a wide scale yet, but I'm seeing it in small numbers. I'm just curious to know if you're seeing anything like that.
I can see it with politics. I can see that people are coming together a bit more. I mean, I know, like, my husband is a true conservative, but at the moment doesn't agree with our Prime Minister, and can see other points of view where things have been handled, haven't been handled well. So I can see that, but then I can also see generational changes, where it's not so open. And if you no longer believe in what's politically correct, then you're not accepted. And not necessarily a bad thing, because not that you shouldn't be accepted, but, you know, change needs to happen. And acceptance for everybody as they are. But I do feel that it's a bit sad that the communication barriers just seem to be going up. So I've seen that,
Right.
I think.
You're still seeing more of an increase in the barriers rather than any kind of a decrease.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, then this may just be something I'm seeing very locally, but I'm encouraged by what I'm seeing. Let's leave it at that.
Well, yeah, I think it's a very much a UK thing as well, because my husband works with other countries and they don't see that. They don't have that. I think it's just
Hmm.
something the UK is going to, maybe we'll see how that works out.
Well, the U.S. has also had a very, very divided population, so we've been living with that for
Mm.
quite some time. So we're on the same
Yeah.
page on that one. But maybe I'm just kind of reading tea leaves here, but I'm just seeing little signs of it. Just a conversation I had with my sister yesterday. And I won't go into the details of it, but there are certain things that we just don't agree on, and they just didn't matter. They just didn't
I,
matter.
yeah, I can see it from that aspect, in the fact that I think people feel more united
Yeah.
because we've all been through COVID. We've all been
Yes.
through the lockdown and the
Right.
pandemic. There's nobody it's not affected.
Yes.
So that's one thing now somebody has in common with somebody else, and you can open those communications, and just, even if it's just discussing things, but also it's brought to a lot of people what is important in my life.
Mm,
Is it money? When you haven't seen your family for 6 months, is money the most
mm,
important thing? And I
true.
think most people would say, actually, no, they've missed that contact with family. So last year when we weren't allowed to be with all of our loved ones at Christmas time, that hurt. That hurt a lot of people.
Mm-hmm.
So I think it's changed people's priorities.
Yes, that's a good way to say it. Yes, I agree with
Yeah.
that. Priorities have changed, and for the better, I would say.
Yes.
I
Because I
know.
think it's brought what is important to
Mhm.
us.
I know in my own experience, having gone through the TIA program this year, of course, one of the things you learn in TIA is how to appreciate that which you would not normally have appreciated. And speaking of that conversation I had with my sister, there are a number of things that we just don't agree on, and that's okay. She was talking about, not in great detail, but she was telling me about some of the things that she's currently involved in, and it was stuff I would never get involved in and would not be interested in. But my question to her was, "How are you doing? Are you feeling good? Are you happy?" And she was saying, "Yeah, she was." And I said to myself, "That's all I really want to hear. I just want to know that she's feeling good. If she's into stuff I even disagree with, it doesn't matter. I don't care about that." As long as
Mm,
she's happy, I don't even care what it is that she's focused on. If she's focused on feeling happy, she's going to get a better result anyway. Doesn't matter what the particular route is. So,
no.
I mean, there's an example of how my own development over the last year has helped me to get to a place where I can accept anything that she's willing to tell me about what's going on in her life. As long as she's happy, hey, that's all I want to hear. That's great. I love that. She's struggling. Obviously, I'll try to help her if I can, but she was volunteering. No, things are good. Things are really good. Like, all right. I like that. That's great.
I agree with that, because there's things that they used to say at Tyre is like, your best day, previous best day is now your normal.
Right.
And I was like, I don't think so, but it's true. And
It
even if
is
I've
true.
had a DTS day or I'm in a spin out, I can go to my journal at the end of the day and I could probably list you 10 things I'm grateful for that day.
Yeah.
And because you're focusing on those grateful things, it's like, well, actually, was it really a bad day? You were just grumpy or whatever. But it just changes that whole thought process. And the fact that you're now seeing that with your sister and you can communicate
Mm-hmm.
clearer and just
Mm-hmm.
appreciate for her, go you, Walt.
Yeah. Well, it also makes it a whole lot less stressful, let me tell you.
Doesn't it just?
I mean, so much easier, so much easier. The other thing that is really easy about the whole thing is, like you said, when you go up one step like that, with the old good becomes the new norm.
Yeah.
That just makes life easier. I mean, that's what high vibration does, right? But when
Sure.
you make that step and it's a permanent step, so that you now have a new high as your normal, it's just everything is easier. Everything.
Yeah.
Cool.
Because you don't sweat the small stuff anymore.
Right. Exactly.
Yeah. Luke's on. Hi, Luke.
Hey, Luke. There's a Thai man right there. Had him on about a week or two ago. Yeah. So I like what we're talking about here. These are this is a new way of talking about going into the new year, because in the past we would have talked about the stresses and the strains and, what are your resolutions and, how do you deal with the fact that, 3 weeks later you don't do your resolutions anymore. This is an entirely different conversation from what I've had in the past here on the show leading into the new year. I'm liking it. Talk about easy. This is the easy version.
Yeah, and it doesn't have to start like mine, because I can't get my words out. I got my mental health sorted this year. I've got my mind healthy.
Huge.
Yeah, huge. So this year is about getting my body healthy. And we've all had like Christmas food and a couple of roast dinners, and it's excessive. But actually, it don't have to wait till January the 1st.
Nope.
to do it. I can just do little bits and take baby steps to make myself healthy going forward. And it doesn't have to be on this day, I'm doing this, and by the end of January, it's going to feel like a slog, because it's just normalizing something, isn't it?
Mm-hmm.
And accepting something.
Yeah. Oh, I agree with that. Those are two good words. In fact, I've already found myself doing it, making the shifts before January comes along. And I think a lot of it has to do with where my mind space is these days, where my vibration is. Because, I mean, what's the big bugaboo around the holidays? It's sugar. All the sweets, all the treats and so forth. I experienced this on Christmas Day. On Christmas Day, we were served, first of all the sweets came out at one point after the meal, right? And like, no, I'm not going to have even a tenth of this. I took one cheesecake. That was it. Just one piece of cheesecake. And I ate one bite off that cheesecake. I didn't even get to the bottom of it. Just, the cheese part. Took one bite of the cheese. And of course, it's got, far more sugar on it than you'd ever want to have, because that's the way these things are put together. I put it in my mouth. I swallowed it. It was delicious. And I got an immediate sugar rush.
Oh, really?
And I said to myself, whoa. And I didn't want to have any more sugar after that. And I stopped.
Yeah.
Now, there were no New Year's resolutions involved. This was just me being more aware of what's going on, because I'm living at a higher vibrational level.
Yeah. And you're living in the now. You're not living in the future
And in the now, yeah.
Yeah. That's crazy, because I got hypnotized at the beginning of lockdown to not eat sugar, because my coping mechanism was to go woof, 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 chocolate. I was just like going a bit crazy. I am a bit of a sugar addict, I'm not going to lie. And I haven't eaten sugar for so long. And this Christmas, I had a bit of like your log, which is like a chocolate kind of roll cake thing.
Right.
But I've not beaten myself up about it. And I'm just like, that's fine.
That's good.
I'll just stop. I'm just going to have it. I'm going to enjoy it. Feel sick. Don't want it again. But it's, whereas before I would have gone, woof, just eaten it all. And it was just like, yeah, I've had that. It was okay. It wasn't as great as I remember. I'll go back to not having my sugar. And having that control over your decisions.
Yes.
Is a very powerful and empowering thing to do.
Very
somebody
powerful.
Who struggled with that.
Yeah, well, especially then. And the empowering part is the biggest part.
Yeah.
Because when you've made that mind shift and you feel the empowerment, it's a different feeling from what you had before. That's what makes it empowering.
Yeah. And that's what spurs you on to continue. It's motivating.
Right.
Because that feels amazing. You're not focusing on, I'm deprived. I really want sugar, but I'm not having it. And you're not guilting yourself, and you're not punishing yourself. You're empowering yourself. So going into the new year with that empowerment and that positive for you, it's like, actually, I don't want it. Go me. And if I do do something where I'm like, oh God, I really want that, but do you know what? I actually don't. I'm not going to have it. And then I'll always go, well done, Anne-Marie. I'll always compliment myself, because it's reinforcing a positive thing into my mind.
Very important. What you just described, of course, is appreciation.
Exactly.
That's appreciating
But
yourself.
also, it's pride.
Mm-hmm.
Because I'm proud of myself for doing things like that when I think about where I used to be.
Oh, I got to share something. Those who are not in the Taya community won't have seen this, but if you're in the Taya practice, David Strickle posted something asking what questions would you like to ask the stream? Essentially, that's what it was. And I instantly came up with the question, what's a higher vibration than appreciation? And the reason I asked that question is because they recently had their little spiel where they talked about how appreciation is actually a higher vibration than love. So I'm curious, okay, so what's higher than vibration? You know, is it an ever increasing amount? You know, how high is up?
Well, the stream says there's no ceiling. Prove it.
But they also said that's the highest vibration. They said there is nothing higher than appreciation. I thought, oh, well, that's interesting.
Yeah, because appreciation brings a lot more than love brings an amazing feeling, but appreciation has a lot more to it, doesn't it?
Well, the point that they made also is that we tend to put attach baggage to these other words. So love often has baggage attached to it. Joy often has baggage attached to it. I mean, but appreciation, gratitude has baggage attached to it. But appreciation somehow has gotten off scot-free. I'm not quite sure how it did that.
But yeah, if you're appreciating something, that's not a negative, is it? It's not a negative emotion.
Not really.
So yeah, I can't see anything negative related to that.
Yeah, I can't either. So I think I buy their argument. But
yeah, and I feel, I mean, I can feel love, but then whenever I'm feeling that huge love feeling, I'm feeling that appreciation on top. So
right, yeah. Well, they go together. I mean, Abraham Hicks, for instance, they put like 6 of these words at the top, and appreciation and love are 2 of them. I think the others are clarity and knowledge, and what else is up there? Clarity, knowledge, appreciation, love. Not happiness up there. I can't remember, but there's like 4, but there's like 6 of them that are right at the top that are all the high vibration stuff. And when you experience one, you tend to experience all of them. It's not like they're independent. You know, if you have clarity, you know, you feel joy. There's another one. That's one of the top 6. If you experience clarity, you feel the joy that goes along with it, and then you start to appreciate it. And now you have the knowledge that goes with it. You're getting all of it. It's all coming in at the same time.
Mm-hmm.
How nice to live near the top of the scale.
But it really is. And it's nice to end the year feeling that. Yeah.
That's definitely a relatively new experience. I can remember years where the whole year I was down, and then at the end of the year I felt like I was a failure. Not a good place to be in. Very different feeling. You come through a year like this and you're feeling great at the end of the year. That's a nice feeling.
But if you're not feeling great about yourself at the end of the year and you have all this expectation that January the 1st is going to be something amazing and something different, it's just a Sunday.
Mm.
It's not a magic day. It's just a number. It's just a day. It's you that makes a difference. So if you're having the expectations that New Year's going to bring something amazing when you're not feeling that, it's not going to happen.
Which is probably why the resolutions fall through the cracks so quickly, right?
Yeah.
Because we know that vibrationally, if you're not feeling it, you're not going to stay there, and you're not going to go back to it, and you're not going to get the experience of it. And so you're going to feel like you didn't get what you wanted, and that is a very sad tune.
Yeah, it is. But we're not doing that this year.
Well, the point is we've been doing all this work on ourselves and we don't experience that anymore. Experience. And that's the beauty of it. Now, the trick, of course, the real trick is to find ways to appreciate it anyway. That's the Taya knowledge. Find ways to appreciate even the stuff that we don't normally appreciate. Well, whenever I'm trying to appreciate something, I don't know what you can tell me what your methods are, but when I'm trying to appreciate something that doesn't seem like it has anything really warm and fuzzy about it, I start with, well, at least it's not this. At least it's not that. You know, so in the case of, well, at least I'm not depressed anymore. At least I'm feeling good again. You know, so I can appreciate that. I can appreciate that this place I was in before, I'm no longer there. That's like a starting point for appreciating. And then the next thing I go to is, okay, so what did it teach me? What did I learn from it? And I learned a lot, actually.
Yeah. Do you still journal?
Right now, I'm limiting that to when I need to work through something.
Okay.
Yeah. So I'm using it as one of the tools that you go DTS down the spiral and you want to climb back up. And I haven't even had to do that. I thought about it over the weekend, like, geez, I should do it more often. But the more I thought about it, the more I realized I haven't really stayed down the spiral very long. The next time, if I get down there and I really can't find a way up, and the 3-step method that they teach us doesn't help me, then maybe I'll do the journaling again. But I haven't needed it.
Yeah. Because I find if I journal before I go to bed and I put the things that I appreciate, I just have a better night's sleep and I wake up in a more positive mood. So I find that really helps me. But if for example, I am struggling with something or I'm feeling a bit DDS, then it will literally be anything. I'll be like, oh, I appreciate the color of my computer. Oh, do you know what? I really like that ornament there. I'm so lucky to be living in this house. I'm so lucky to have such a wonderful husband. I'm so lucky to have their children. And it just, even if it's like, I really like that pink pen. It doesn't matter what it is. Even if it's something little, I will start to find things that just look around me and go, appreciate that. I'm really glad I've got that. Actually, that makes me happy looking at that. I've got this little fella here. He's my little Buddha. I can't not be happy. I can't not be happy with him. I just look at him and I rub his head. So this thing I feel is charged full of positivity. So I'll just stroke his head. Just little things that make me feel better.
And that starts for you with the journaling?
And with journaling, I get bowled over when I write what I appreciate in my journal because it makes me realize that I appreciate it damn sight more than I give myself credit to it for. And actually, I might have said, like I say, I might think I've had a bad day, but then I'll go through what I actually do appreciate about that day. And I realize it wasn't that bad, was it? It really was quite a good day.
That is a good use for journaling. I do the same thing. I accomplish it differently. I don't do it with journaling, but journaling, I can see that's a great way to do it because you're basically having a conversation with yourself when you do that.
And I don't have to be writing it down. I can almost journal in my head. So I'm asking my questions in my head. So I still call that journaling when I'm just talking through. And journaling when you're questioning doesn't have to be around why you're DTS. It's like, well, I'm UTS. Why am I UTS? What is it about today? And, why am I UTS? And, also exploring that a good feeling and building that as well as that DTS moments. And that's just me. That's just the way I like to be with journaling. And I know it's not everybody's cup of tea, but that's just how I use it. And that's what I do when I'm struggling with things.
But that makes total sense. That's your method. You think about that as journaling. I actually don't think about that as journaling, but I'm doing the same thing. Yeah. So the main thing is the thinking of it as journaling, I'm guessing helps you to do it.
Yeah.
That's good. That's a great thing. Yeah. I mean, with me and Louise, most often we do it with each other. And if we need to, well, that's not entirely true. I often do it by myself during the day. Sometimes I do it as part of my mirror work. But often, like, evenings after dinner or something like that, we'll start doing a rampage. Here's what went well today. Yeah. And here's something else that went well. Yeah. And this other thing was good. And this other thing, and we'll just, pile on top of each other. All the different things we can think of.
Yeah, we do that around the dinner table with the children. What was the best bit about your day today? And then they'll say, oh, well, we did this. And it's like, oh, tell me about that then. And why was that so good? Just, again, opens those conversations around the dinner table, having the conversation. But it's lovely to hear them focus and then that sort of plant those little seeds of that positivity thinking.
Yeah, it's huge. I've also noticed that when I make it a deliberate focus to appreciate, the times that I have the biggest challenge are when I'm not necessarily way down the spiral. I'm not up. I'm in that in-between space where you've kind of taken your own internal temperature that day. And at that point in the day, you realize, oh, I need to kind of bring myself up a little bit. And in those places, believe it or not, that's where I have the hardest time thinking about what it is that I appreciate.
Really?
So, yeah, it's an odd thing, but I guess what I'm recognizing is I just need to do it more often so that it's more habitual. So I'm using those opportunities. I don't really do it as a journaling thing, but I use those opportunities to kind of stop and grab a mirror and look at myself and say, I love the way X is happening today, or I'm really glad that Y happened, or Z is great today, and just kind of remind myself of it.
Yeah.
And when I do that on a more regular basis, then it becomes easier each time that I fall down a little bit and I want to pull myself back up.
Yeah. And it does. It really does. I just appreciate everything. It could just be like, oh, I really love my coffee maker. I love my coffee. It's bonkers. This is why my husband thinks I'm a tree hugging hippie now, but it works for me. And exactly. I appreciate the trees I can hug. Hey.
Don't knock it till you've tried it. Have you tried hugging a tree lately? It's actually pretty good.
Oh my gosh. I go to trees. If I walk around like a forest, now my dad lives near a forest. Oh, the energy. Oh, coming off those things. Beautiful.
Yeah. That's true. Well, that's that's a hard thing for me this time of year because it's hard to get out when it's really cold to do my walks. I haven't actually been out the last 3 days now. And my body is really screaming, get out there, get out there. Of course, traveling around for the holidays didn't help a whole lot, but it's harder because this time of year, I don't quite get the same nature dosage because everything is wintertime. The trees are bare and the flowers aren't there anymore, and it's a kind of a barren landscape by comparison, and so it becomes more of a challenge to find the nature to appreciate. And I think that's where I'm thinking about when I was talking a moment ago about, you're a little bit down and you're trying to pull your way up. When I'm out and among nature and nature is kind of dormant, it's harder to draw the energy. It's harder to suck that energy out of that tree, to feel it. And that's where the deliberate, intentional, I'm going to feel appreciations really come to the fore, because when I can do that, then all of a sudden I start to feel the nature, even though it's all dormant, I can start to feel the energy. I can start to pull it out. So to me, that's the exercise. To me, the exercise is, okay, I've achieved a certain degree of appreciation. Can I take it to the next level? Can I take it to the level with the stuff that I'm not feeling it with so much? And constantly expanding that edge, to use Dan's term. How far out can I feel it? How far out can I experience it?
And do you know what, when you were saying that, I was thinking of Dan's money game, and I was thinking, how can you make it a game then, Mort? You could just set an intention going forward, going, I want to see one solitary flower.
Sure.
Set that intention so that when you see it, then you get that lift and you'll get that connection with nature.
Yep.
There's, just playing with it. There's ways of doing it.
The other way that I try to do that is to get that feeling when there isn't a whole lot of material to draw upon, is I try to reflect on something I've been referring to a number of times here on the show lately, that literally everything is vibrational. There is nothing in the universe that is not vibrational. Outer space is vibrational. Everything is vibrational. And the more that I can remind myself of that fact, and then look upon whatever it is I'm looking upon and remind myself that even though it seems dormant, there's energy there. There is vibration on there, so that I'm looking for it. So that I'm actively seeking the vibration that I know is there, then I start to find it. Just because I'm looking for it.
Yeah. That piece of concrete, that's vibrating.
That one takes a little extra work, I have to say. Really? That thing's vibrating? Oh my God.
Yeah, no, I can understand. But yeah, I find it just blows my mind. When I think of space now, it's just, whereas it used to be this like dead space.
Right.
Literally. And now it's just, when I visualize it, and there's so much more exciting for me. Yeah.
Einstein knew
just
that.
Feels alive.
I mean, he already knew this stuff, How he knew, I'm not quite sure, but he knew. They say he was a genius. I think maybe may have been psychic too, but I'm not 100% sure about that. But
he certainly had his connection going, didn't he?
He really did. Yeah. See what happens when you're a patent office in Switzerland? Oh my God, the patent clerk just really knew what he was doing. So this is good, though. This is a reminder of, it isn't just what happens at the end of the year. It isn't just preparing for the new year. It's what do you do day to day?
Yeah.
What do you do hour by hour? How do you live? It's the more that I remember to live, to really live moment to moment, ironically, the more interesting and exciting the new year becomes.
I mean, I'm hugely excited about next year, and that is nice to feel, because it feels like I can actually make those changes this year. I feel like I've got this magic power that I can just do stuff now. So that feels so exciting. And rather than feeling, oh, this has been such a year, you know, it's changed my life and next year can't top this. Oh my God, no, next year we're taking it to the next level. So that really helps me for next year, is just knowing that I have that power to do that.
And we had it all along, but we're recognizing it.
Exactly.
We're finally knowing, oh yeah, I really do have that power.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it was already there, but I can feel it now.
Yeah.
Feeling, boy, that makes all the difference.
Doesn't it?
Yeah.
And that's like when you sent me the list for the summit, I literally felt so excited reading it. I was like, I want to see that one. I want to see that one. I just was so excited in the way it was like all flowing. So I think it's going to be an interesting summit, Walt.
When I wrote that list out, which I shared with you, I was feeling it as I was writing it, because at first I was thinking to myself, geez, do I have enough people here? Is this going to really have the impact that I want? And I start writing it out and I said, oh, this is actually going to be pretty good.
Are you joking? I mean, just one of those would be impactful. One of those people. Mm-hmm. You've got a whole little gift there for New Year, haven't you? It's a late Christmas gift for everybody.
Well, it is a gift for everybody. It's the gift that comes from having done a podcast for all these years and interviewed all these great people. And you start going through the list and you say, dang, that's a pretty good list.
Yeah.
Holy cow. Like I've got like some really good contacts here. Where did those come from?
Yeah. Be interesting if you get some of your old presenters back on for your anniversary.
I've been thinking about that. Yeah. I've been thinking about that, reaching out to, well, actually, one of them is going to be part of the summit. Joel Elston has already signed on. Joel Elston's, for anybody who's been wondering what Joel Elston is like, because you weren't listening far enough back to know what it was like when he was on the show, you're going to get your chance. And he's going to tell some of his best stories. He's already agreed to do this. It's going to be really great. He's going to be the last speaker on the second day of the summit. It's going to be really cool.
I didn't watch with Joel, but I follow him on Facebook, and he's funny and he's clever and he's kind.
Yes.
So he will be good to watch.
And so there's one example. But yeah, I've been thinking about reaching out to like Wendy Dillard and Tom Wells and Patty Framo and Linda Armstrong and Rita Giganti and you know, some of the many people who've been on in the past, and see how many of them we can get to come back. Yeah, just for a visit, just to see what happens.
Yeah.
So, it's going to be good.
Yay, roll on 2022.
It's going to be good. Well, listeners, if you have any stories that you'd like to share about what you're anticipating for your 2022, please send them in. Probably the easiest way, just send me an email, walt@lowaytoday.net, or reach out through Facebook. And we'd like to share them and hear what you're planning for the new year. But if it's anything even close to what we're planning, you're going to have a good new year too, I can tell. Right?
Yeah, absolutely.
We're looking forward to get Louis back next week. He's still vacationing with his family in the Austrian Alps, doing all the skiing and the snow stuff. The photos have looked really good. But we'll be welcoming him back next week, so that'll be a good thing. And it'll be a new year when we do our next show together. How about that? So I'll wish it to you in advance. Happy New Year, Anne-Marie.
Happy New Year, Walt. Here's to our year.
Absolutely. And thank you, and Happy New Year upcoming to all of our listeners everywhere. We will see you all next time here on LOA Today. Goodbye, everybody.